So I wanted to share today and really dive deep into the wisdom that is really present for us right now, that's coming through the wisdom of the Atlantis, the Egyptian mystery schools, the Emerald Tablets, and how that's all connected to what's happening with the ascension of Mother Gaia right now and the new earth, and how all of these pieces come together. What is happening as we rise together as a collective and our consciousness shifts, our perception shift, our paradigm shift. And so therefore our perception of what is available for us to see actually enhances. They say we can only see 1% of the light spectrum. If we can only see 1% of the light spectrum, that means 99% we don't see. It means we can't see the other dimensions. What is happening as we rise now is that our perception is being open, and we're now being able to see, rediscover, and recognize these things that have been lost for a really, really long time. There is a geometry to everything, and this is the geometries of memory, the memory of all space and time that's in your DNA, that's in your cellular structure. It's how we actually, when you create a dis-ease or a wellness in your system, how that it is the geometries of that memory, both for the physical reality and for your emotions, that then recreate that system over and over, and how we can use frequencies to heal those things. The harmonic frequencies that activate dormant strands of DNA. So we know we've been told this old story that 90% of our DNA is junk DNA. There are no mistakes, right? God doesn't make a mistake. There are no mistakes. And that's because that DNA, it has light receptors on it. So it actually is able to encode light, takes the information, light is information, and it encodes it into your DNA. Actually, if you're interested in learning more about this, you can go, the last couple of chapters of my book are about the DNA and the light encoding into that, right? The encoding of light into the 90% junk DNA, we now know it's a multidimensional DNA. They're doing studies on DNA right now where they're using energy healing and different things to work with it to see how we can activate it. So our goal is to activate the code 12 within our bodies and our system, the 12 strands of DNA, to allow for these dormant strands of DNA to be activated. We want to exit our karmic cycles and step into mastery. So what do we come here to learn so that I can step into mastery? We are here to master it, and this is the lifetime. This is the lifetime that's encoded through all of our other lifetimes, right? If you look at time as like a layered cake, you're here in this piece, you have another layer here and another layer here, and those are your other lifetimes. And as you here in this one, it encodes and changes your existence in all of those lifetimes. All of these pieces are coming and brought back together. So when the initiate is ready, the scroll unrolls from within. So some of the key teachings, the 7 Hermetic principles. This is one of those key teachings. And what does that mean? It means everything is a holographic representation, the above, below, within, without. Right? There are also the key teachings are the secrets of resurrection, immortality, timeline mastery, and the light body, which are the keys that we go to in the mystery school. Timeline mastery. How do we build our pillar of light? How do you work with the Ka, right? Which is the light body. And then we work through these 7 principles, right? In the Emerald Tablets, they were called the 7 Lords of Light, and they correspond to the 7 Hermetic principles. The Lords of Light were considered the guardians of the laws of creation. And so each Lord governs a dimension of reality and a universal principle. And it assisted initiates in mastering that frequency and unlocking aspects of the divine embodiment. This was the Lord of mentalism, which the law is mentalism, that all is mind. They call the field consciousness. In quantum physics, it's called the unified field, right? Like we're all speaking the same language. And sort of mentalism was the keeper of the cosmic mind. And that is, the dimension was the first plane of light. And so this holds the field of the unified consciousness from which all things arise. Lord of correspondence, architect of mirrors, right? Correspondence is the reflective patterns of the cosmos. This is the as above, so below. So this oversees sacred geometry, fractal resonance, divine patterns. How does everything reflect the patterns of the cosmos? You know that if you look at our systems in our body, it looks like the galaxy. The planets and stars have been shown to be mapped in our brain and in our DNA. Right? There's a reflective pattern to the cosmos that is within everything. So as above, so below. The physical reality of our world is the same as that spiritual above. We are a reflection of that. And then we have the Lord of Vibration, who is the guardian of frequency. This is where we move into the sound field, the Temple of Harmonics, where everything vibrates, everything has a frequency. And so this tunes the energy field of the initiate and regulates access through tone. So things like toning, chanting, sound baths. We're wanting to work every single layer of these pieces into allowing for ourselves to activate our divine DNA, to activate this higher state of consciousness. Because when we activate those 12 strands, we allow ourselves to live in a higher state of consciousness. And so in my book, right, I talk about bliss consciousness. It's a prescription for bliss. And how do I start to align myself to a state of bliss consciousness? It is a level of consciousness where I get to live in a state where even though I have emotions, I have this internal alignment and peace where things just happen. Synchronicities happen. Things show up. Things magically happen. And it is as if by magic. But it's not actually magic. It is our actual birthright. This is how we are meant to show up, how we're meant to be. And the next one, the Lord of Polarity, which is what they call the master of the two pillars. Now, they talk about the two pillars not only through like the Emerald Tablets, but this is something that's in the Kabbalah, right? You'll read and hear these things through all of the different places. And this is what the idea of duality. This is your portal of duality. This is the mirror temple. This is the fact that everything exists on a plane from here to here, black and white, good and bad. It's the polarity, it's the balance that we're looking at. And this is where we find that sacred marriage, right? The integration, the union. What our goal is to bring everything from the duality and bring it into unity. Consciousness is unity within itself. And then it, in the law of three, right? The experience, the expression of three, the knower, the knowing, and the known, the three split off from each other to create vibrations that then create the physical experience of our world. It is that those pieces where the interaction of consciousness wanting to know itself and the act of knowing creates the observed effect of being known, which is the material world that we live in. And so this teaches the initiate how to hold opposites and birth the third force, that unity force, bringing these things together and allowing for union. So a lot of times people hear about the twin flame or the sacred union, and it's first within, right? The sacred union that we're searching for, the gifts of like Yeshua and Mary Magdalene, was the understanding of the sacred union was something within us. And then we have the Lord of Rhythm. Right? The Lord of Rhythm is the keeper of the cosmic pulse. So think of this like the lunar solar cycles, right? So we have a lunar calendar, we have a solar calendar. This is why it's so very important when we run, why I do ceremonies around the new moon and the full moon. We're looking at the spirals of time, understanding this is the law of rhythm, the cycles of creation and destruction. Everything has a season. So this regulates our timing, our seasons, the initiation gates, our spirals of evolution. And there's certain things that we can do. So like some of the practices that work with attuning to this work are things like lunar rituals, menstrual blood magic, breath, dance, right? There's ways that each one of these things has an attunement and a practice and a way to work with it so that you're not just reading this thing, getting some knowledge, and you're embodying it. You're working with it on a deeper level. Then we have the Lord of Cause and Effect. We've all heard that, right? That's the holder of what we call the Akashic Scales. He's the holder of the Akashic Scales. This is the sixth plane, which is the Akashic Records. It's our soul contracts. And so this is that karmic loop. This is that every cause has its effect. It reveals our karmic loops, our timeline nodes, and how to rewrite our destiny. You can actually rewrite your karma, your other lifetimes, this lifetime, your future. And so there's actually like timeline jumping, quantum work. You can do karmic forgiveness exercises that allow you to do quantum recoding. And the seventh principle, right? Seventh is the Lord of Gender. And this is the master of sacred union. And this is the understanding that within every single one of us, every single thing, all things contain the masculine and the feminine. Everything does. And so this is the the temple of the creation, the womb of the divine. It activates the divine masculine and feminine within for our creation. There's like sex magic you can use for this, right? There's self-union rituals you can do. Different things that you can work with for working with creation and intermarriage, the alchemical womb, which then allows you to what? Birth and create into the world, which is what we want. But what can birth through me? As you activate your own codes, as you activate your DNA, this information starts to come to you. You start to hear, see, feel, notice the truth of these things aligning into you. The tablets are said to be an etheric or an interdimensional, right? That they do exist within Earth, but at a higher frequency band, and that we access them through frequency, resonance, soul memory, and not excavation. Crystals being encoded with information. Think of it right now. What's inside your computer that holds the memories? They're crystals. So they were using crystals to encode information, and that information is in there. And so we have recreated the technology, put it into a computer, and we now encode information in crystals in our computers, all the way down to those little chips and all those little things. And so this is now new technology in this day and age that was used as ancient technology. Those crystals were encoded with this information and this consciousness that is doing that. And so Thoth encoded the tablets with geometry, frequency, and light. The keys, right? Geometry, frequency, and light. And so they're not books, but like living transmissions that are activated through our consciousness. So as an initiate, when you've done the DNA work, when you've done the shadow reclamation, when you've done multidimensional training, you begin to receive these codes intuitively in dreams, meditations, or ceremonies. While the Emerald Tablets don't actually exist in stone, right? Emerald, as archaeology defines, that they absolutely exist as energetic blueprints. They're in the Akashic, right? They're waiting to be downloaded back into the frequencies of our new earth to allow for this encoded information to come through. Let's get into the code of 12, how they all work together with our 12 strand of DNA. The code 12 of life as a divine numerical architecture of spiritual embodiment. It is the restoration of our original 12 strand DNA template. And that is an original 12 strand DNA, and that could then now turn into 24, 48, right? This is that we're working on that original 12 strand DNA template that was fractured after the fall of Atlantis. The code 12 is built on several different things. The 12 dimensional layering of reality, the 12 primary starseed lineages or the councils of light, the 12 chakras, the 12 petals of the heart lotus, and the 12 solar light beings, which equal the blueprint for the new human. And this was encoded with what's called the 2-10-12 code system. And so 2, duality structure, right? Light, dark, masculine, feminine. 10, the base of the sacred geometric construct that is finite, right? And then 12, which is the divine order and the harmonic coherence, the unified ascended template. And so we've been working on a base 12 for a really long time. So how many of you know the Kabbalah tree of life and you look at it and it's a base 12? I mean, not a base 12, it's a base 10, right? It's because it's missing 2. It's missing the extra 2 of this. And have the ascended master template. To bring that ascended master template back into our experience, we have to open up from the code of 12, open up from the code of 10 into the code of 12. And so in this light body architecture, Thoth encoded multiples of 12 in our sacred geometry with 12 points in the Merkaba, 12 nodes of DNA, 12 tones of sound geometry. We have this combination of sacred geometry and timeline technology, the code 12 of life and the 12 strands of DNA, into that light body of resurrection. So I'm going to go through the 12 code divine blueprint of the new humans. We had the 12 dimensional layering of reality. So the multidimensional human exists across 12 primary dimensions of consciousness, from the primal blueprint to the divine source integration. Each dimension corresponds to a level of awareness, a light body layer, and a gateway of remembrance. Let me give you an example. So think of the first dimension. The first dimension is what? The mineral, sound, foundation. It's the core frequency pattern. It's the primal density, right? It's that core. And then you go to 2. And that's the elemental. It's the emotional body, the inner child, base desires, our early templates. Then we go to the 3D, right? We've all heard of the 3D. That's our physical plane. That's the time-bound self, our identity, our duality. Then we have 4D, which is the astral plane. You getting this? See, we're moving up in that. So we have this first, right? This is the first, this is the 12-dimensional layering of reality, which goes all the way up to the 12D, which is the monad, the God frequency, which is our full remembrance, our source reunion. So you go through layering these, and what you start to do as you activate each of these layers of these dimensions, right? I hear a lot of talk about 5D right now, and we're working towards that heart awakening, that unity consciousness, that soul alignment, so that we can keep moving through these other dimensional realms of reality. Because in the 60s, where light starts, it's a light realm. Each of these layers, these dimensions of realities, right? Code 12 restores access to all 12 dimensions of your being. And through this, you become the living light temple that holds multiple realities with conscious mastery. And that's what we're here, that we have the ability to master that energy, to master all of these dimensions, all of these timelines within ourself now, and have conscious mastery so that we can use those gifts, harness those things. So then we have the 12 primary starseed lineages, right? The councils of light. And so each strand of our divine DNA, right, those 12 strands, align with a starseed lineage or council of light that seeded humanity's potential. So these were, so let me give you some examples. I'm sure you've heard of all of them. I'm going to go through a couple. The Arcturians, the Syrians, the Lyran, the Orion Light, the Palladians, the Venusians, right? The Lemurian, Atlantean. We're working through, right, these pieces. And so and number 12 is the Galactic Federation, which is a unity alignment. It's a cosmic order keepers. That's why when they showed up for me, I was like, okay, I guess I'm in now. I was like, I got to do this thing, right? So we have all of these different pieces, and so you're weaving in the information from these councils of light, these starseed lineages, into your DNA, into your thing, so you can remember who you are, so you can ascend to these higher planes of existence. My goal, number one, higher state of consciousness, right, for ourselves and the entire planet. And then, of course, those starseed lineages, as they connect to our 12 chakra system, the 12 strands of DNA. There was the 12 petals, the 12 petaled heart lotus was another piece of the 12 codes. And these are some of the things: love, compassion, forgiveness, right? And then it goes all the way up: unity, bliss. So when all 12 petals open, the initiate anchors the Christ Sophia flame in their heart. And this is the seat of that bliss consciousness, is where you are the living temple and a gateway to the sacred teachings of Thoth and Isis and the Magdalenas and these other higher frequency lineages, like the Hathor Star Nation and the Palladians and the Venusian experiences. And then the last piece is the 12 solar light codes. And this is the blueprint of the new human. Right? So the solar light codes are energetic transmissions from the 12 rays of solar consciousness. So each is connected to like a solar deity, a counselor, or a frequency of divine light.